Hi there and welcome to this nutrition masterclass. I'm so glad you're here because this means that you've finally taken some time to look after yourself. For those who don't know me, I'm Jill and I'm a holistic nutrition and wellness consultant. I worked in corporate for a decade. I got really stressed, really anxious, and I really wish that I knew these simple hacks because they would have made my life so much easier. Anxiety and depression affects millions of people around the world, but few highlight the profound impact that eating well can have on your mental health. So today I'm going to share a few practical and science-backed strategies that you can start to implement today without complicated diets and expensive supplements. Okay, so I'm going to dive straight in. And the first thing I want to go through is how nutrient deficiencies are linked to mood disorders. Deficiencies in vitamin D, omega-3 fatty acids, B vitamins, iron and magnesium are especially common in people with depression and anxiety. Without these nutrients, our brain simply can't function at its best. Now I'm going to go through each key nutrient and explain what foods are high in these particular vitamins or minerals. And if you feel that you're not having enough of these foods, it might be worth incorporating these foods into your diet, or if you don't like them, at least consider supplementing. So let's start with vitamin D. Now the best source of vitamin D is actually sunshine. And you want to be out in the sun for around 20 minutes with bare skin and no sun cream. Now, if you live in a cloudy climate like myself, it might be worth supplementing with a vitamin D3 supplement because it can be quite hard to get your vitamin D requirement from food alone. But if you were going to have foods high in vitamin D, your best source would be fatty fish. Low levels are closely linked to low mood and fatigue. Okay, next is omega-3 fatty acids. Now, we tend to get our omega-3s from fatty fish like wild salmon, mackerel, sardines, and in smaller amounts from chia seeds, hemp seeds, and walnuts. Plant-based sources are less bioavailable, so if you are vegan or vegetarian, you might need to consider supplementing. Aim for 2-3 servings of fatty fish a week, and this should cover your omega-3 requirement. Again, low levels of omega-3 are linked to higher anxiety and poor brain function. The next one we're going to look at is magnesium. Now, magnesium can be found in dark leafy greens, in cashews, in almonds, in pumpkin seeds, dark chocolate, ideally the 70 to 80% cacao chocolate. Unfortunately, nowadays, our modern soils are very much depleted of magnesium because of our modern farming practices. Plus, stress depletes magnesium in the body, and a lot of us, unfortunately, are chronically stressed, so deficiency is very common. If you do decide to supplement, I would go for magnesium glycinate. This is a very absorbable form of magnesium, and it's very good for stress and sleep. It's a staple in our house, and it's a favorite among my clients. Next one we're going to go through is B vitamins. Now, you get your B vitamins from turkey, from eggs, from chicken, legumes, and wild fish. If you're plant-based, it's probably worth supplementing because plant-based sources contain little to none, and low levels of vitamin B are linked to low mood, brain fog, and fatigue. And lastly, we have iron. So the best sources are red meat, oysters, clams, lentils, and dark leafy greens. Now, if you decide that you might be low in iron, always get tested before supplementing. Now, again, low levels of iron can leave you feeling exhausted, prone to low mood, and anxious. So in short, before jumping straight into anti-anxiety medication, check if you're deficient in any nutrients first. Correcting even one deficiency can really have a significant impact on your mood. It's a simple, natural first step that often makes a really big difference. The next thing I want to go through that can really have an impact on our mood and our energy are blood sugar spikes. So when we eat foods that spike our blood sugar, this triggers the release of cortisol and adrenaline. And these make us feel anxious, they give us a low mood, and they make us crave sugar. So I'm going to go through 3 practical strategies that you can implement to prevent blood sugar spikes. So firstly, pair your carbs with protein or healthy fats. So if you're going to have potatoes, have it with salmon. If you're going to have toast, pair it with avocado and seeds. If you're going to have an apple, pair it with some nut butter. So what the protein and the healthy fats do is actually slow down the release of the sugar, preventing spikes and giving you steady energy throughout the day, and fewer cravings and mood swings. Now, if you want some snack pairing ideas for steady energy, you can actually go to my website and there is a free document that gives you 25 snack ideas. Secondly, eat fiber before meals. So either have a handful of berries or a handful of nuts or a bit of salad, kind of 10 to 15 minutes before you have your meal. And this helps stabilize blood sugar levels. Another thing is movement after meals. So if you go for a 10-minute walk after your lunch or your dinner, or at least move around after eating, let's say you want to start cleaning up the kitchen straight after you eat, this is going to help balance blood sugar levels and it's going to help you with energy. So the next thing I'm going to go through is my favorite top 8 foods for better mood and reduced anxiety. So firstly, we're looking at your dark leafy greens. So we're talking about your kale, your spinach, your Brussels sprouts, your broccoli. These are all high in magnesium and chlorophyll. And what these do is that they reduce anxiety and reduce inflammation in the body. Now, dark leafy greens are very easy to include in your diet. You can have them in your smoothies, you can have them in your stir fries, in your salads, in your soups. So this is an easy go-to of mine. Okay, cashews. So cashews are high in a component called tryptophan. Now, tryptophan is a precursor to serotonin. And serotonin is basically our feel-good hormone. Now, if you have 2 handfuls of cashews a day, it boosts serotonin like a natural Prozac. And again, this is easy to include in your diet, whether you're having a handful as a snack, whether you're adding it to salads, to your oatmeal, and they're delicious. Next is avocado. Avocado is very high in healthy fats, and it also supports neurotransmitter production. So what this means is it's very good for your brain. Again, very easy to add to your salads, to your smoothies, and to spread on your toast. I also like to sprinkle some sesame seeds on my avocado toast to give it a boost of calcium. Next is fatty fish. I'm mentioning it again because it's so important. Fatty fish is high in omega-3s, which is so important for brain function, for your mood, and to reduce inflammation in the body. Now, I understand quite a few people don't actually like fish, so you can actually take an algae supplement to meet your requirement. And as I mentioned before, if you do like fatty fish, ideally you want to have 2 to 3 servings a week. Next up is turmeric and ginger. So turmeric and ginger have very high and powerful anti-inflammatory properties. And they really help with supporting brain health and also digestion. Now, again, you can easily add these to your diet, whether it's in curries, whether it's in smoothies, in soups, in your bolognese. I always add a pinch of turmeric. No one knows it's there. And when you're using turmeric, you want to remember to also add some black pepper, because the black pepper actually activates curcumin in turmeric, which is responsible for its healing properties. Now, try and add as many herbs and spices to your meals as much as possible. Think of it as your natural medicine chest. They're tasty, they're delicious, and they're full of healing properties. Next up is olive oil and coconut oil. So these are very high in healthy fats, and they're very important for brain health. They're very good for hormone balance and for energy production. Now, you can easily add these to soups, to salads. You can use them for cooking, but just make sure when you're using olive oil, use it for cooking up to 190 degrees Celsius. And then if you're cooking with heat higher than that, use your coconut oil, and swap out your processed cooking oils like sunflower oil, canola oil, corn oil for these natural oils. Next up is raw cacao, and this is my favorite because it can boost your mood immediately because it boosts serotonin production. It also enhances dopamine, which is really important for alertness and focus. Now, all you need is roughly 1 to 2 teaspoons a day, and you can add it to your baking, you can add it to your warm drinks, to your smoothies. I like to add it to my cappuccino in the morning, and this can really improve your overall mood. Now, make sure to look out for raw cacao and not cocoa, because cocoa tends to have sugar added to it and it's more processed, so you're losing a lot of the benefits. And lastly, we have sage tea. So sage tea is known to calm anxiety, improve mood, and also improve immunity. Next, I'm going to go through 3 adaptogenic herbs, specifically ashwagandha, rehmannia, and rhodiola. Ashwagandha is really good for people dealing with chronic stress, with poor sleep, and with anxiety. Rehmannia is really good for people with burnout, adrenal exhaustion, and hormonal imbalances. And rhodiola is very good for people with poor concentration, low energy, and mild depression and anxiety. Now, you can take these as supplements or as teas, and you're best taking them for a good period of time for them to build up in the body. So, for instance, with ashwagandha, you want to take it for at least 6 weeks because that's how long it takes for you to start seeing the effects. Now, there are some contraindications using these herbs. So if you have any questions, reach out to me directly or do your own research. For instance, with ashwagandha, you can't have it if you have an uncontrolled thyroid disease. Now, there are also what are called nervine herbs, such as passion flower, chamomile, skullcap, and these can be had as teas or as tinctures, and they can help with reducing tension. Now, lastly, I want to go through some foods to avoid. Now, there are foods called neurotoxic foods, and these foods actually increase anxiety and increase inflammation in the body. And these are foods that a lot of us eat on a daily basis. So if you eat them, now and again, it's fine. But if you're having them regularly, then you're causing unnecessary stress in the body. So when we talk about neurotoxic foods, we're talking about your refined sugars, we're talking about your corn syrup, your trans fats. So these are your pastries, your microwave popcorn, your fried foods. And when you're buying food, look at the label. And if you see partially hydrogenated oils, these are trans fats and they're very, very bad for you. So we're also talking about highly processed foods, foods with loads of ingredients that you can't recognize, your artificial flavorings and colorings, which please note are marketed loads to kids. And we're also looking at excess caffeine. So if you have a lot of caffeine and you're very stressed and anxious, this could actually make it worse. Now, coffee is very good. Good quality coffee is very high in antioxidants and it's nature's natural performance enhancer. However, if you have more than 1 to 2 shots a day, it can potentially increase anxiety in some individuals. And lastly, if you have a gluten sensitivity and you do eat gluten, it can actually increase anxiety and inflammation in the body. So all these foods create oxidative stress in the body, hormonal imbalances, and increase anxiety levels. So that's it from me. So this week, take some time to look at what you're eating and make 1 or 2 swaps. It doesn't need to be all or nothing. A couple of changes can have a significant impact on your mood and your energy levels. For instance, if you have oats alone in the morning, which is a complex carb, think of adding some protein and some healthy fats, like some nuts, some seeds, and some yogurt. Or if you don't get much sun exposure, then consider supplementing. Remember, we're not looking for perfection, we're looking for progress. So I hope you found this helpful. And if you want one-on-one support, you know where to find me. And if you need support for your team and their mental health, please reach out.